captcha, and then he thought, oh my god, now I've invented this monster that because of me, people are wasting thousands and thousands of hours online every year filling in bullshit sequences of characters, of distorted characters. So he thought, okay, how can I repay humanity? And reCAPTCHA was his answer. So basically, for the people who don't know this, one of these words, the system knows what it is, and one of the words, the system is unsure. And these scanned, deformed sequences of characters, these words, they originate from the scans from Google Books. So because they know what one word is, they use that in order to check whether you have given the correct input, and the other one they say, thank you very much for the data, and we match it up with maybe 50 other people. So if
10, they're matching 10 words per.
Oh great.
10.
So if all the other 9 people also type overlooks and inquiry, well, we're pretty damn certain that this actually spells overlooks and inquiry. So this is an example of using human computation. We are part of a computational step that is part of a larger computational system. We humans are part of an algorithm. And so for the official definition, what is important for the term human computation, it's about problems that fit the general paradigm of computation and as such might someday be solvable by computers. So this is a problem that we might expect someday we'll have very efficient programs with a lot of power, and we might be able to solve all of these problems, right? And the second part of the definition is the human participation is directed by the computational system of process. That is a weird sentence. So what I want to say is, this should be or process. So the human participation is guided by a computational system. Okay, so just to make a little characterization of these kind of systems, for reCAPTCHA, well, I used 3 categories, which is, I think there's always in these kind of systems, there's a purpose, what you are in the end aiming for, there's a task that you give out to people to do, and there's a certain motivation for people to even do this task, right? So for reCAPTCHA, the purpose is transcribing the world's library of books, that's what we in the end aim for. The task is please type these 2 words, and the motivation is I want to sign up for an email account or for whatever. And so what I did in my project is I had sort of a dual purpose. First of all, I want to distinguish interesting segments within video. Well, actually before that, I take a set of related videos that relate to a certain topic. And I want to distinguish between them which of those videos are interesting. And not only that, I would also like to know from within those videos which of the parts are more interesting. Because I'm talking about user-generated content, a lot of this content that ends up on YouTube is, well, sometimes 30 seconds, sometimes 1 minute, but a lot of times also 5, 6, 7 minutes, and that's just way too long. But it might be the case that this, for example, this, how long was the VideoHackSpace tour? How long was the video? Sorry?
50 minutes and 50.
Okay, so that's okay. But okay, so I have found videos about the Jubilee that are, I'm not kidding, 7 minutes footage of the Thames, boats passing by on the Thames. And I might be really interested in boats passing by because I love boats and I love the Queen, etc. But I don't want to look at 7 minutes of it, right? So we might want to get at one particular point because that's where something really interesting happens because the Queen passes by there. The second part of the purpose of the reporter system is to take all of these interesting parts and reconfigure them into a new story. The task that I give is watching 2 interactive video sequences in parallel, which I will demonstrate in a moment. And the motivation that people have for this is they want to see this content because they want to be either informed or entertained. So a little bit about how I do this, and this is also where popcorn.js comes into play. So basically I take I just looked on YouTube, and we can actually, yeah, we can have a look at the problem actually. If I go to YouTube and I search for Jubilee London 2012, I get 6,500 results. So that's way too many, right? So this sort of indicates the problem that we're having with this kind of with this kind of material. Another example that I looked at was Burning Man. I can imagine I would like to see videos from Burning Man, and there's even more than 10,000 results only from Burning Man this year. So that's an example of a related set of content in which you want to filter. So what I did is I searched through this manually, and I looked for the user-generated content, and I took all of those videos. And for all of those videos, I had a set of 10 videos in total. I sliced them up into 10-second parts. So they're all equal length, 10 seconds each. And I don't actually export separate parts, but I just have in a database, I have references to a start and an end point. So this is slicing up by referencing. This is hyperlinking to different parts within a video. And this is now possible because of Popcorn. So then I store a new database of these video parts. And then I do something like this. And this is sort of the back end of the system. This is sort of the front end of the system. Doesn't understand. It doesn't matter. It's not important to know exactly what's going on here. But the idea is that there's a sort of feedback loop here. So we have source videos, we have video parts, and we have interaction data that says how many times has a video part been watched and how has it been watched, and it uses that data to load in and construct new sequences of video. So and it presents that to the user in this kind of interface. So there's a video here, and when a user hits play, both the videos begin playing, but you can only focus on one. So you focus by mouse hovering over the video that you wish to focus on, and that makes the video clearly visible and audible, whereas the other video is silent and blurred like this. So that's the interface, and these videos are actually constructed from those 10-second video parts. So what I'm showing here is a sequence of 6 10-minute video parts. So this is 1 minute and this is 1 minute as well. And I track for each of those parts, I track when did you focus on this one and when did you focus on this one, such that I then know which of the video parts have acquired the most focus. So after that interaction, I take that interaction data and I store it back into my model, and then I use that data again to load in new sequences. And this is sort of like, this is important for me because this is an example that I think, yeah, this might work really well. If you present content and then acquire data about that content and use it to replug the data into the system itself. So what happens is this experience that you have here about the Jubilee videos becomes better over time as soon as along as more people watch the content.
Are the two videos playing at the same time?
Yeah, they are played at the same time in parallel.
Oh, okay.
But I'll demonstrate that.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, yeah. So when I checked just before, of course it wasn't working. So let's see if we can get this to work. I think one of these two is working. So basically, what you see is just a web page that I used in my evaluation. So what is actually important is just one of these, left or right. So let's just focus on this one. Hope that it works. So you see that if I focus on this one, it becomes visible, and if I focus here, the other one becomes visible. So if I hit play, okay, so it's not working. Let's try the other one. That's working, yay! So you see, I can focus on this one, and if as soon as I can sort of still see what's going on here, more or less. So if I see something interesting here, I can decide to switch. This is not playing back entirely smooth, which is also to do with internet connection. But so this experience becomes an interactive experience where I decide where do I want to focus on. And with my interaction, I'm contributing data that leads to a better experience for people in the future.
The implications in crime detection is huge. If you were to get multiple streams of video coming in from cameras, from real-time feeds coming in, and if the video itself is intelligent to detect if a crime is happening or pattern of arson or something like that, it might be able to alert much quickly. So
yeah.
that would be the main implication of something like this.
For example, yeah. So just to quickly round up, because I think I've been talking for way too long, what you then get is 10 different videos. For each different video, there's multiple parts, and you get data that says how much time have people attended or have people focused on this video, and you can plot that, and then you can rank per video which are the parts that people have attended to most. So the average attention or focus for the peaks basically indicate parts that people have attended to a lot, whereas the bottom ones is video parts that people haven't really focused on so much. And then so what you can imagine is that you use the top videos and plug them, give them more precedence in the presentation of new video content, and the ones that have lower ratings, you filter them out. Yeah, so well, that's what I just demoed you. Yeah, and these are some conclusions about what I've thought, what I've just told you. So I think that human computation is interesting because you sort of like step over the semantic gap by not using computational approaches, and it's especially applicable in user-generated content because it's so, first of all, because it's such a wide domain, but also because we are already used to interacting with this kind of content. Our whole interaction is already based on YouTube. So if YouTube wishes to hire me, then that's great, because we can immediately implement this and get started working on this. The idea about showing things in parallel, that's useful for time-based media, so it can work for video, could also work for audio. Yeah, and the thing about my data is that I've done this experiment with more or less 50 people, which was not really enough data to make really strong conclusions, but I could already see patterns that, for example, videos that were pretty much the same over time, for example the video of 7 minutes filming of the Thames, there were not a lot of there were no clear patterns with peaks of interest, whereas other videos the system was able to filter out an interesting moment where the Queen passes by. Oh yeah, and yeah, reconfiguration is something that I also would like to look into more, because at the moment it's just like randomly concatenating videos, or yeah, with an algorithm, but that could be also smarter. Yeah, so that's the presentation. So yeah, I don't know what kind of questions people have, but Also, if we want to do, if people want to look into using popcorn to make interactive video, I would be very happy to do a workshop or do a little session sometime in the future. But
I spoke already. Let's him first.
Is it possible to see one of the final videos? Because that's actually kind of, you know...
Yeah, well, okay, so actually one of these is a final video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, or actually it's the final video content turned into, again represented as a parallel presentation.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can also take these parts apart and reconfigure them into one video stream.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's whatever you want to do with the data.
I don't know if this is what you were saying with the last point you made, but is there any way of personalizing the data that you get? So for instance, like if somebody's really interested in boats, they'll skew your data, and if somebody's really interested in horses.
Yeah.
So I mean, what do you, how to keep
Yeah, at the moment that was not, for this project, not my main interest. Because what I was trying to get at is just a very crude level of, you know, filtering something that is crap from something that might be interesting because there is a queen in there.
So you'd say like almost the average interest of, say,
yes, yeah.
Over boats or horses, yeah.
Exactly. So I average over everyone of all the participants in the research. Yeah. But yeah, it's very possible to do that if you get more data per participant.